Guru Nation and I love this part. AQST Nation. What is up? For those that follow me, you know I'm only into one stock right now, and that's Aquestive Therapeutics. I live and die with this one. Biotech Scanner is the living legend. There's no better person more informed on this company outside of their own employees. You might be more than some of their employees than Biotech Scanner. And he's built a tremendous Twitter following, or X, whatever you want to call it, around not just AQST, but a couple of other tickers. But I think AQST is maybe one of his favorites, because it's for those that watch the other interviews, there's a personal connection to the indication, and it puts everything in perspective. Like, yeah, we can trade stocks, we can I don't personally trade, but I'm in this for the long haul, and we understand the reason is patients on the other end that actually need this stuff. Mm, So, Biotech Scanner, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me again, Dan. Good to see you, brother.
It's always an instant classic. Your following has grown. The haters have been silenced. The they were throwing rocks when AQST was in the twos. And in a matter of like a week or a week and a half, it's back in the almost mid threes. So I'm almost back to break even, and I never sweated a day. I've had people calling me that I personally recommended the stock to when it was in the twos. Hey man, what's going on with it? What do you recommend? You know what I said? Buy more. I said, I don't know what's going on. Buy more. There is no bad news. Buy more. And that's what I did. And my
Yeah.
average position went from like four something to 380 by buying more. So I bought more. I'm here for the long haul. And at the end of the day, we need an EpiPen competitor because EpiPen has been dominating this anaphylactic shock, um, which is so common. I mean, just yesterday, I talked to the property manager at our building. She went to California for a road trip with her daughter. Her daughter, out of nowhere, never been allergic to peanuts before. Ate some peanuts, it might have been a cashew, some mixed nuts. All of a sudden started like choking up, like allergy. And it wasn't
Dude.
like severe, but they had to go to CVS, get some Benadryl. How good would a AQST strip have been? I think everyone should keep this is total addressable market is everyone.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't have allergies like me, you don't want to be caught lacking when you or someone else in the car with you has. I mean, you never know. You never
Yeah.
know. That's total
Yeah.
addressable market. Everyone. How about that? How about we start with that?
For those who are new to my Twitter following,
Follow
I
underneath.
released, I released this ticker back in February. And like Dan said, it does have a personal touch to it, because more than 30 years ago, I lost my sister at a young age of 22 to an anaphylactic shock, and it destroyed our family. And so for me to choose AQST, Aquestive Therapeutics, I did a lot of research. I also did a lot of research on its competitor or potential competitor, Spry or ARS Pharmaceutical Pharma. And what I am seeing here, a company that will be saving lives, but as a shareholder or a potential investor, it brings tremendous potential, because of where is that right now? Right now, the market cap is around $302 million, and the price ended up being about in epinephrine is about 1.9 million, a billion this year. And then in the next several years, it could go up to, almost 5 billion, 4.9 billion total addressable market. Now, that is not taking into considerations of the expanding market after the awareness campaign that's going to be going on with
Yeah.
its competitor and AQST by itself. Like Dan said earlier, everybody should carry this around
You know that
because
the
you just
difference?
never know.
Do you know what the difference? I just thought about this aspect now. I don't have any allergies, right? I'm not gonna carry a EpiPen with me. It's like a suitcase. I have to like change it every so often. I gotta worry about forget like hauling this thing around if I walk to the beach or somewhere. I might consider the Listerine packs, like the CEO showed on the
Yeah.
investor relations that what fits on the back of a phone. That's something that I would consider, and I think there's many others like me. Like maybe we don't want to carry a briefcase around with us for us or our loved ones, but a little packet, that's doable.
Yeah. And the story that you just shared remind me of my wife's story. She has no allergy. And suddenly one day, out of the blue, her mouth gets swell up and then her eye got really itchy and it swelled up really bad. And we didn't know what to do. So I gave her, some Claritin and it helped bring it down, but it took days for it to go down. But then a few months later, it happened again. But this time it got worse because she got really congested. She could hardly breathe. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is getting really bad. So we did the same thing, but I took her to an allergist.
Hmm.
They could never find out what she was allergic to. But what they did was they prescribed an EpiPen-like device. It's called RVQ. So many people know that, and so she has it with her. But ever since then, she never had it. That kind of thing happen again. But the thing is, you just don't know when it'll reoccur.
Does
And
she
each
carry
time
it
it
with her like
gets worse.
everywhere?
I'm sorry.
Does she carry it with her everywhere she goes, or?
No, she doesn't even care anymore because she
Hmm.
hadn't had an episode in a long time. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
If it's more convenient, like film that could fit inside on the back of the phone because it's like a Listerine strip, it could easily be in her phone and it's with her everywhere she goes.
Right.
You know, when you're talking about a device, you got to have a storage, you got to carry with you. It's kind of bulky.
Even a
And
nasal spray. I mean,
yeah,
I have one with me, Flonase, because I get like some seasonal allergies.
uh-huh.
I don't carry this in my pocket. My jeans, I got like the comfort fitting jeans. There's only so much real estate that could go in my pockets. I've
Yeah,
been gaining weight too. So, but the strips,
you would.
yeah, I would.
So then the reason that we're doing a podcast today is to I have big news to announce.
That's why you're on, man. Instant classic, by the way.
I posted on Twitter that I have a ticker that I'm going to release. And this ticker has that I said here's some highlights: great management, has a great pipeline, has a really good working relationship with the FDA. All the trials products have been positive, and they are already working on launch plans for this product. And last but not least, actually, even is very important, is undervalued compared to its peer. And another reason why I'm releasing a ticker now is also there was some misunderstanding that caused a huge price drop of this ticker. So that's why we're getting this price is pretty good value right now. And this is really for my new followers because so anyways, the ticker that I'm releasing right now is none other than AQST again. And the reason why I am releasing it again because mostly number one, because I got some very important update information on AQST, and number two, the price movement that I've seen with its potential competitor in ARS Pharmaceutical, the ticker Scribe, and that they are the one that has got the nose spray for anaphylaxis. So the current price right now is about $10.49 versus AQST 333. But to
333.
be more accurately comparing, you would want to compare market cap. And the market cap for Spry right now, that's the name of the ticker, SP. The market cap right now is a little bit more than $1 billion versus 302 million for AQST. And then outstanding shares, Spry's got 96 million versus AQST's only got 91 million. Now, I just want to make sure to address the fact that I'm not bashing Spry. I'm just saying that that compare the two. As investor, we look for values, right? Because it doesn't matter how good the company is. If you buy it really high, how good is that for your investment, right? So right now, Spry, and by the way, I truly believe that Spry, the Neffy device, will get approved before NFL will. And I knew that before I released it the first time back in February. And there is a reason why I chose AQST instead of Spry because of the value. And another thing is that I'm going to go into later is because of my background in pharmaceutical, is that I know what physicians think. I know what they prefer. I hear from them. And time again, the film is by far their favorite if it's going to come out. Okay, but I'll delve into that later. But the big news I want to release right now is last month when the company came out with a new corporate deck, it showed that the launch for NF film will be 2020 on Twitter to keep everybody abreast of the latest information on AQST. And I knew that's not what everybody wanted to hear. But it really doesn't change for me or you, Dan, as far as our investment time, because the end goal is for NFL to be approved and to be the drug of choice in this anaphylaxis space. So that doesn't change anything for me. However, the price dropped tremendously that day, and it ultimately got it down to about $2.30, all the way from $6 and back after positive phase 3 data was released. And so the reason why I'm releasing that is I have finally heard from investor relation, because I want to clarify with them, what do you mean in the corporate deck saying 2026? But before you said the second half of 2025, what has changed? Because I've noticed, Dan, that all the timeline remain the same. All of the supportive trials are on track. So I didn't understand why 2026 I reached out, to investor relations, and I did got an email back. I'm gonna read that reply. And it took me a long time to hear back from them. So I've been telling my followers that I'm still waiting to hear back from them. So I asked two questions. What are your plans for Libovan? Has the timeline changed for NFL? So let me address the NFL concern first. According to investor relations, it says, reply was, the launch is targeted for 2020. As the plan is to file the NDA after the pre-NDA meeting is held and the pediatric study is complete. What does that mean? That means nothing has changed. That means the timeline is the same, that they are going to be doing these supportive trials. So the next one's going to be a self-administering trial, and then the other one is an allergen trial. And actually, they could do two trials at once if they wanted to. I'm not sure the FDA allows them, because you can, give them some type of allergen, and then you give them the NFL, and then you do it again, and now letting them, hey, now you do it by yourself on your own, right? But I think they
Right.
ultimately have to do it separately.
The way I
So,
understand the allergen is because didn't the other study they did was the like the different
thank you,
temperature one,
edema.
right?
Thank you, the edema. Oh, yeah, self-administration, yes.
The
Yeah,
self-administration was with temperature. The allergen one, they're still using, from my understanding, healthy volunteers because it's
all
not
of them.
ethical to actually put someone under these conditions who actually has allergy. But they are giving them common allergens like
Yeah.
peanuts, to see how it mixes with the film in the mouth. Because the idea is if you just ate a bunch of peanuts, will the film still work with the peanuts still in there? Do the allergens like kind of negate the IP? That's like the idea from what I understand of the oral allergen study.
Well, yeah, it's like, well, it's basically they actually want to induce some type of allergy. Okay. And so whether it's going to be mild or severe, whatever, the good thing is they're doing it in an allergy clinic, right?
Right. Okay.
So it's all there. However, so the previous plan that they had was an angioedema study, right?
Ah, okay.
So what happened when a person the mouth is swollen, the surface area is getting so large or whatever? How is that going to work? Well, actually, when your tissue is vasodilated, and if it works even faster, because the surface area is actually larger now, the drug gets in even faster. So and then for Neffy, they did the congestion and stuff like
Ah,
that.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that actually,
Yeah,
because there was some confusion on my part as to would an IRB allow them to like give but I guess they are able to do it if it's in a controlled environment. So thank you for that.
yeah, yeah. And
Do you
then,
know when
but
that trial's getting underway by any
it's
chance?
actually going on the way right now.
Oh, right
As we
now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and both of them. So they could be doing two trials at once. And so I look at the timeline, and it's basically 3 months from the phase 3 trial announcement until the temperature trial that was released. Result was released.
I
Uh,
gotcha.
but like again, the only major trials they have left is the pediatric trial,
And
right?
when are they doing that? Did they tell you?
Yeah, that's going to be, I believe, the beginning of Q4.
But that's a
So
separate indication, or is that the same? Are they going for the NDA for all ages, or are they going NDA adults first, pediatrics later?
yeah, I believe they're going both at the same time,
Okay.
and and that is why they wanted to do they wanted to end the pediatric trial and then apply for the NDA. So they are now applying from whatever the pediatric population they study all the way into adults. Okay. So they want to basically they are applying for two indications at once. Um,
Yeah.
but again, I want to make sure people that I'm not bashing ARS pharmaceutical. I believe they're going to get approved first. And I also want to reassure the QST investor that once Neffy device is approved, it's actually positive news for AQS. You have to remember, anything that positively happens with Neffy is actually positive for AQST because it says that the FDA is willing and to allow another device besides the EpiPen to come onto market. The difference with AQST and Anafilm is that Anafilm is not a device. Because with any device, there's always misuse or device malfunction. With Anafilm, you drop that in the mouth, under the tongue, and bam. And I saw some comments trying to bash AQC saying, oh my gosh, it's going to be a total failure because they're in so distress and having to hold, for 5 minutes, they're not going to be able to want to do that. You are about to die. You don't want to hold the medicine for 5 minutes? Who says, I'd rather die than to hold this medicine in my mouth for 5 minutes? And actually, you don't have to wait for 5 minutes. You don't have to swallow. So that is a false statement to begin with. It is a kind of FUD to begin with because, and that also explains that person does not understand the science, the MOA of the medication. How does the medication work? It doesn't even, the patient doesn't have to even swallow it. It absorbs into the bloodstream immediately. And The fastest measurable time that we measure, as the concentration in the blood of the patient with NFL is 2 minutes. Why 2 minutes? Well, the CEO, Dan Barber, explained it very clearly. The reason it's 2 minutes was that was the earliest time that we measured. He said that if we would have measured it sooner, I'm sure we probably got a reading that is already in the bloodstream. So when it comes to NFL, it works the fastest of anything. That Neffy, that epinephrine, that RVQ. It's just when you're in that anaphylaxis state or severe allergy state, time is of the essence, right? You just don't have time. Like my sister, she didn't have time to take her to the hospital. She died. You do not have time. So with these medications, you have to take it, but you're going to end up in a hospital anyway to make sure that you're going to be okay. Even though you were given EpiPen or NFL, if to be safe, they have to be brought to the emergency room to monitor them.
Do you know
You know,
Biotech scanner, the Tmax comparison, Cmax, Tmax between Neffy and AQST 10?
no, I don't know it offhand. However, I, I don't, I would say it, but I don't want to be inaccurate.
Yeah.
But I will say this, okay, to be fair to everyone, let's just say that it's pretty much equal, okay?
I remember the charts were more or less equal. It's like negligible which one, but I think AQST showed the best result for what it's worth of all, including EpiPen.
Yeah. So basically, the thing with NFL is it works really fast and Tmax and Cmax. The problem with NFL is that it tends to drop off more, but the CEO later on explained that it's dropped off when they zoom in, that it's not any more. There's some overlapping with EpiPen even. So there's nothing out of the ordinary. So it tends to drop off more. So that's why it's important to do the repeat dose trial, which they did. And the cool thing about NFL is that it works fast the second time, and then it drops off. But once the second dose is given, the patient gets more of the drug than even it works faster the second time, and they get more drug the second time with the repeat dose. So all in all, I have no problem. Now, I've read on some social media places about the AQST people would be bashing the Neffy, saying, "Oh my gosh, they get really sick, that their hypertension is really bad," and then one is saying, NFL making people throw up, whatever. Okay, it's all part of a well-known side effect. Okay, listen, these patients' lives are in danger. Okay, epinephrine saves lives. Epinephrine is the drug. It's not NFL, it's not Neffy, it's not epinephrine. But the thing that makes NFL shines is it has, in my opinion, unsurpassed delivery system and unsurpassed convenience, because you can be a sleeve that fits in the back of the phone, and it's a device, it's an object that people carry them everywhere they go. Even a Neffy could be small, it's still kind of bulky. People's gonna put it somewhere. Well, with anything, it's here and it's with them all the time. And I have no doubt, no matter who gets approved first, Neffy gets approved first, that's great. Because they're gonna be educating the general public that, hey, there's a better device, there's a better way, there's a better treatment for a severe allergic patient and anaphylaxis patient. They're going to be educating the public, physician, and all that. So when Anafilm is approved, they don't have to do much of that, because all of that groundwork's already done for them. So that's why the CEO actually addressed that in one of the conference call that he did, is that no matter who gets approved first, if Anafilm gets approved first, they win. If Neffy gets approved first, Anaphylm wins. So either way, so when neffy gets approved and it's their PDUFA date is October 2nd, I have high confidence that they're going to be approved. But don't be going selling, AQST because they get approved. That actually is positive for AQST and Anaphylm because the FDA is willing to let another option on the market. And so, yeah. And so now I also asked about Anaphylm. So now that we found out that there's nothing changed with timeline with Anaphylm launch, well, what about Libovent? So Libovent was approved. The company wasn't ready to launch it because they were talking to partners, right? And so I was hoping that they already had the partner ready, but they didn't. So the email I got back was, please tune into the Q2 call or report to get the most updated information on Libervent launch. So on the Q2 call, we may know something about that. Okay, either they have a launch plan or not. If they reveal a launch plan and a partnership like in a week or two, I think they will because the CEO said that he owes a lot of people the launch plan for Libervant. And he knows that. He knows and he understands that. And he did kind of allude to that he promised by the end of the summer. He did say that the launch plan for Libervant was this summer. So we have a few months for the summer, several months, a couple of months.
Hmm.
And so I believe if that were to be announced, that's going to be very positive for the QC share price. It's way undervalued right now versus his peer. And then another angle that I want to go into is I believe that there is a potential for buyout, not with Spry, and there's a reason why. I think it's going to be with Anaphylm. So Viatris owns EpiPen. And when neffy was about to be last year, it got a CRL and the price dropped all the way down to like $2.79, right? That was September 20th. It is understood or thought that Viatris might have gone to the FDA and say, hey, you might want to ask them to do these additional trials before you approve them. And ultimately, the FDA gave them a CRL. So there's a lot of bad blood in between. And Viatris has a billion
And
reasons
it's
why they,
crazy that big pharma can do this, but I
yeah,
guess they can in the name of patient interest, right? Patient safety, or patent protection, whatever
yeah,
you want to
yeah.
go for first.
It's listen, it's man, Pharma, it's a dirty game, man. It is
Yeah,
dirty. And what they did, I believe that was dirty. I believe neffy should have been approved.
right.
neffy
But
should
it just
have been,
shows you the bully, the big bullies, and until you can't beat them, join them. I mean, I do think
so
both of these are good acquisition candidates. Both. And
yeah,
I did do some research here on Cmax Tmax comparison between SPRY and AQST. They're comparable.
yeah,
The Cmax, which is the maximum concentration for SPRY, is slightly higher, negligible. That is going to Anafilm had 470 microgram over milliliter, which and then Spry had 500. But the Tmax, so the time it took to get maximum concentration, Anafilm was shorter and shorter than therapeutic dose for epinephrine injection as well. So
yeah,
both are competitive. With because of the higher Cmax, might offer a marginally quicker peak response, but Anafilm's Tmax is comparable, so it's kind of like it's a wash basically, and it becomes a alternative for what do you want? You want the strip or do you want the nasal spray? But clearly both are better than sticking yourself in the thigh with a a
yeah,
needle this big.
yeah, yeah. No, and actually to get to therapeutic level, it only needs to be 100.
Right, okay, so both
Yeah,
AQST gets to 470 and
yeah,
SPRI 500. Epi
yeah,
goes way higher. Epi, I
Yeah,
think, hits like 1,000 almost, but
yeah.
it
So
takes longest to hit with a epinephrine for EpiPen.
yeah, and as a matter of fact, either T-max, C-max, or different time frame over the entire trial, Anafilm was always above 100 through
Mm,
everything. So because that is the therapeutic standard, so it's above
100.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're all
So
well above the therapeutic standard.
yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this, and I've said this before: all of these devices or NFL will work. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the name of the game now is convenience. And I actually hinted to my ticket release when I tweeted the Back to the Future that it says where we go, we dot dot dot. So where we heading, we don't need needles. We need to get rid of needles. Okay,
We need
needles.
compliance, I think, is what we need,
Yes.
right?
So the reason again back to why I'm releasing this AQST again is one because of the price drop of the misunderstanding or the fear is back to very reasonable, very undervalued versus its peer. You see $1 billion market cap versus only 300 million. And another thing that we haven't talked about is that every year, AQST brings in a little bit more than $50 million because they have a CMC manufacturing
Yeah.
and through our licensing revenue.
The
And
packaging
whereas
business,
Spry,
they're hiring for that recently
yeah,
too.
packaging advanced, yeah. So Spry came about with a reverse merger of a previous company. It's called Silverback Bio Pharmaceutical, something like that. And so they had that money from the reverse merger. They have no debt, which is a really good thing. But the only thing is, Spry has no revenue almost. They show 10,000, but I'm not sure where that came from. And they have basically no pipeline. Neffy is the only thing that they have. So now the market cap is 1 billion. Then as an investor, you have to ask yourself, how much higher can it get? How much higher can it be? It has one device, right? When you're talking about AQST, you got Libovan for pediatric just got approved. And overall, they estimate global sales about 100 million. They have AQST 108, which is the epinephrine cream. CEO said potential sales could reach 400 million. And with Anafilm, it's 1 billion. So you add them up, you have 1.5 billion potential sales. So to me, as an investor, the value is with AQST. You can't
Yeah.
argue against this. You just can't. A company that has a market cap of 300 million that is generating 50 million and could grow more and more. And then once Libovan is launched, there's going to be additional revenues come into play. And then other catalysts coming in is we're going to start getting updates on AQST 108, the epinephrine cream for dermatology. That's
For
going to be big
eczema
money.
and atopic derm and
Yeah,
hives and whatever else people get.
exactly. So
Hmm.
we're going to be getting, and they're going to be announcing when they're going to apply
Right.
for the for the not the NDA but BLA for actually an IND. Sorry,
IND for the research
investigational
study.
new
Yep.
drug. Okay, so they have to apply for an IND, and then once approved, they can do clinical trials, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna get
And let me tell you, they're gonna need the money from the TAM that they can get from the anaphylactic shock to pay for those. Those derm studies are expensive, but the upside of AQST, I mean, if you factor in the $1 billion market cap that is SPRY, and what is it? You said 250, let's say 300,
300.
300 million market cap for AQST, so it's one third discounted. at a
Yeah.
1/3, and you have a diverse platform. You have an existing business stream already. Like there's money coming in from the
Manufacturing.
packaging.
Yep.
Yeah, listen, let's play this game really quick, Biotech
Yeah.
scanner, and see if people still agree with the valuations. All right, because I was doing this on my family trip to Sedona, and I had some fun with it. Let's say FDA does not approve Neffy spray. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
It's worthless. Let's say FDA
Yeah.
does not approve Neffy spray. AQST, whatever price can be at, it'll be further discounted because that's going to show fear in the market. Well, why wasn't that approved? But AQST still has a higher T max by far than both of
Oh,
those. Even the C max is less. So there you'd have to look at why. But let's say 109 is worthless. All right. You still have a revenue stream.
yep.
Still have 108. You still have Libervant. You still have
Yep.
other things they're working on. You have a proven management team. There's no way the two prices should be flipped. The market caps, in
Yeah.
my opinion, should be switched risk-wise. So that
Yep.
should tell us that the price right now should be, let's call it, it should be at least $9 to $12 of AQST, and it's currently at 333. But just
Yeah.
logic, just using logic, man. Forget
Well,
about debt. Everyone talk, oh, but look at debt, look at shares. Forget all that. Market cap doesn't lie. What's the market cap? Doesn't matter how many shares you have. What's the
yep.
market cap?
And actually, speaking of shares, AQST actually has a little bit better share structure of 91
There
million,
you go.
6 million with Spry. But yeah, it's when you compare market cap, it really the price, the current price of AQST, there's so much value there. And when I'm looking around for new tickers to release,
Yeah.
the first thing I'm looking at is value. I cannot find better values than what I'm getting with AQST.
Yeah.
And so now on September 20th, 2023, that's only 10 months and 3 days. Price SRPY price was 279. And then it begins to move up and move up and
In
move up
anticipation, right?
in
Of this.
anticipation of approval for Neffy. Here we are at 333 right now with AQST. What do you think that share price is going to be as we get closer and
So two schools
closer?
of thought, two schools of thought. What if
Yeah, okay.
SPRY overpriced, but AQST for some reason is fairly priced, right? That's a possibility. That means SPRY would go down and AQST wouldn't necessarily, right? With
Yeah.
the FDA rejection, if they do. I think they both get approval, but let's just play it out. What do you think happens? Like, because I respect your opinion so much on this. You got so many things right. Let's say FDA comes out and says, Neffy, sorry, CRL, complete response letter. What do you think happens with stock price? Let's pretend that the prices are where they are now. What do you think?
Okay. If Neffy gets the CRL now, it's going to go back to $2 almost instantly.
And what
Yeah.
about AQST? What do you think?
Yeah. So I believe that AQST is going to be impacted, but not that much. Why do I say that? Because AQST has been working with the FDA every step of the way. And actually, I hinted this when I posted it that whatever the FDA wants them to do, they do. The relationship with Spry and FDA is not very cordial at all
Mhm.
because they felt like that CRL came out of nowhere. They felt like they had an agreement with the FDA that additional study is going to be done after the drug is approved. That didn't happen. I believe that Viatris might have something to do with that. It's part of Pfizer. Um, However, I truly believe that it's a not if but when Netflix is going to be approved. I believe it will be approved on October 2nd. But before that, so watch out for this. I believe the EU, because they also apply for the EU, they have the EU NEF, as well. I believe the European Union will approve neffy even before the FDA on October
Wow.
2nd. Yeah, I believe that will happen. Now,
You think
again,
AQST is in the, did they apply for EU or they're behind
not yet.
on? Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Man, this
And they,
thing's undervalued. The more I look at it,
yeah, they are, and as you can see, the reason why the share price is going up so much because um, the organizing body of the EU, medication approval authority, actually recommended approval in the EU. So that's why the price is going up. So now, that's what I'm saying is the current price of Sprite, I believe it's already baked in approval, and that's why you saw
you
a 4%
think?
drop
So you
today.
think it's baked in already? So you think
Yeah,
maybe it's not overvalued, it's just baked in. It's assuming it's gonna get approved. So maybe you'll see from $10 to $12. But that gives AQS, that means AQST will cover that delta quickly if
yeah.
that were the case.
Well, with a smaller stress structure, yes.
Hmm.
And but again, I'm
Mm.
actually rooting for Netflix to be approved.
Yeah, I think we need more options at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
because ultimately, I believe Netflix will save lives, just like NFL will.
Yep.
But I believe that once NFL is approved and be on the market, even after Netflix, it will become the favorite very, very quickly. And as a matter of fact, the management of AQC actually wanted to look into that for themselves. So they did a survey on the patients that they did clinical trials with. And they asked them, would you prefer a nose spray or a film under your tongue? Overwhelmingly, NFM won. They won the film.
Interesting.
Okay. And another thing that sometimes people think about is, what if they swallow it? Oh, they did that. They look at that too. They did a trial where somebody swallowed it with like a glass of water. Dang, it works great too. So you don't have to
They've done
swallow
that
it.
trial. They've done the
Yeah,
trial with them.
yeah, they looked into that. So I mean, they looked at everything. Netflix will be approved. NFM will be approved, but I believe NFM will be the the device or the drug of choice. It's not a device. And the
Right.
fact of the matter is, by the time NFM is approved, AQST 108, the cream, is already in phase one. We should have heard from phase one or phase two already. You
They're
see,
gonna need that money from the increased market cap because those
yeah. So
derm studies are
it's
expensive.
yeah, and so as long-term investor, offerings is part of the deal, and AQC just did that, and I think that's gonna last them for a while. But yeah, it's part of the growing pain. But
You,
ultimately, you're talking about if they can do revenues $1.5 billion per year and market cap being $300 million now,
well, yeah.
it's
I mean,
huge.
currently their revenue's like 50 million a year, no? Based off of the no, my bad. It's like 150 million a year. The revenues right now.
Yeah. So it's still undervalued. So if you're new to me, the new ticker or to you that I'm releasing is AQS, Aquestive Therapeutics. They will be releasing earnings on August 6th and earnings call on August 7th, the next morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So on that, in this release, we might hear something about Libervant launch plans. Really, if we get it, it's going to go up quite a bit. If not, it's going to stay the same because it's really all about NFL. it's
Right,
you know,
right.
but what Libervant does though is Libervant will help live the life on, pays for the bills, right? So any additional revenue is very welcome. And
Correct.
so I believe that by the end of the summer, we will hear from the company about the launch plans for Libervant. And then ultimately
Oh, that's
for
gonna be
film,
beautiful.
yeah, and then we're gonna hear data release on self-administering and allergen tests right? And then, of course, the pediatric trial when it will begin, and then, of course, results. And then after all that is done, they will have a pre-NDA meeting with the FDA. And then after having, and the purpose of the pre-NDA is okay, what do you need from us? Whatever, right? But the NDA, uh, what do you need from us? What is there anything else you need from us? Is everything look okay to you?
Yeah.
Is there anything? Is there looking at the data you have right now with you? Is there any reason that you would give us anything but approval?
So
See?
the I misspoke just now. So the revenue 2023 was 11.3 million, but what they do have a balance sheet for AQST 81.3 million in total assets. So that's where I got the 150 from. Sorry.
Yeah,
This year they're
yeah,
projected to 15 million revenue in 2024.
yeah. No, not but you look the overall revenue, it's projected to be around 51 million for the entire year. You may
Oh,
be think you may be thinking quarterly.
no, no,
Uh,
that revenue that I misspoke was the just the packaging stuff,
I
not
got
royalties and sales. Yeah.
gotcha. But hey, that is 15 million that SPLY doesn't have.
Correct. That's the whole point is like
Yeah.
you still have nothing else. You have an infrastructure company and some other things in the pipeline. And by the way, approved drugs like earning royalties. Like
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah.
something about that. Big institutional holders, BlackRock, Vanguard, they own like I think 9 and 7% respectively of
Yeah.
total shares. So
So
those guys, they don't
they're
put their money in stupid things.
and so in summary, AQST has always been favorite ticker just because of the personalness of it, because of how hard I'm rooting for it and how much I spend so much time. If you look at my Twitter feed of I tweet out a lot. I would
Mhm.
say almost 30% of all of that is AQST. But
That's
you
your
know,
claim to fame is really was the AQST. And then
actually,
because of that, people started following you, and then you're very meticulous. I have another stock I want to run by you, but privately.
yeah,
But
it's but
amazing.
my big breakdown was actually
What is
it is about $51.
okay, it went
Uh,
back.
but that thing was crazy.
You think someone's gonna acquire them? Or what's I haven't been following that one, but
I tweeted it out. I'm about. I actually tweeted out. I am 100% sure it's
yeah,
going to be bought out.
of
It's going to be
course.
bought out,
Because the
and I
patent cliffs are
believe,
insane for big pharma. Disastrous patent cliff expirations for big pharma. They need new things
yeah.
like AQST.
Well, I think management wants to be bought at around $100 share price. I think the buyers are wanting to pay around 60 or so. So I think they're negotiating, but I'm telling you right,
Mm.
Viking has no intention of bringing the drugs to market. I can guarantee you. I just know by the tone of how they sound. They have no reason because bringing a drug to market, especially injectables, oh gosh, so expensive and so difficult. You
Yep.
have no idea, and management knows that. So
Especially the GLP-1s.
I believe they'll be bought out at around $75.
Mm.
So it's still a big increase from this point on. I think it's undervalued right now. But the that was still the biggest movement I've seen with the calls that I've made. Well, I called it out like what 280, something like that. It went to like 13 something. So, there's some and then
Yeah, I gotta
and then
get pick your brain about more of these. We gotta do more podcasts about other tickers. It's just for me,
yeah.
I'm all in on AQST, but I'm a fan of the biotech space, and I think there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. And Honestly, they're the only ones innovating. The big pharma are not innovating; they're just buying. So
Yeah, it's I try to stay in a space that I know really well. So I see a lot of biotech investors that would invest in companies like, dude, you know how that thing works? Or let's say it is approved. How much are they going to sell?
right,
And
that's a big.
you
That's
know,
what got ChemFarm in trouble. KMPH.
yeah. So it's just it's so complex. And if you read the MOA of the drug, you don't know, understand what it is. This is why I said to my people, don't invest in biotech alone and make sure you find somebody, a source that is reliable, that is trustworthy.
Yep.
Because if not, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Preferably you. But you got to be
So,
careful at the same time because you get into these the community tends to be very binary with their stocks and there's no like voice of reason. It's either this is the best thing ever, like this
yeah,
is a slice of heaven on earth, or this is like horrible. There's nothing like voice of reason in between. Like in my opinion, what you just said about ARS Pharma is very reasonable. Like I don't know if you own any ARS stock or don't, but I mean, I don't, and I
I,
still think I'm rooting for it.
I said it. I'm hoping that it will be approved, and I believe it will be approved.
Hmm.
As an investor for AQST, it shouldn't matter to you. It either way, because I don't know if I want to believe, based on my research and my experience, it's going to be approved, and there's going to be a lot of people waiting for it to be approved.
I think it
And
matters. I think SPRY matters as an AQST shareholder only from the positive sense of like if it gets approved because it's going first, that
yeah,
tells us we are undervalued. If
yep,
it gets rejected, obviously we're gonna take a big haircut, but there's a floor. There's a floor. The floor is like not zero for this company. There's still a floor. It'll be horrible. We'd have to hold it for 10 more years to get back to break even, but at least you've got something. And you've got a good management team and you've got pipeline and proven experience to get things approved. So you
you
guys
know
make your
what?
decision. We forgot to mention this is not financial advice. We should
Yeah,
start out from the beginning.
not
This is
financial
not
advice
financial.
at all. For some reason, based on what I've seen with the data and investors with IQST, if Neffy gets rejected, for some reason, I have an inkling that AQST may go up. It's as weird as that
There's a
sounds.
world where that exists. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a very good chance that may happen.
It depends
And
for what, right? If it's rejected
yeah,
because device malfunction
right,
or something that has nothing to do with AQST, CMAX, or
right,
TMAX.
right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there's a
Hmm.
chance of that. And,
Good
and
point.
so now we didn't touch. We talked about buyout. So I believe there's a good chance that AQST may be bought out, and I think they may have given a hint of that.
What's the hint?
The hint is who they brought on board.
My
They
favorite
brought,
AQST employee of all time, the female.
yeah, they brought on board Sherry Korzinski.
I'm a big fan.
Who is she? Well,
Escort
she
is what
is
the fans know
with
her as.
Viatris, and she responsible for EpiPen. And so there's a lot of bad blood between Viatris and Sprite. They're not gonna buy them out, but they're gonna trying to go one up on them by buying NFL. They're either buying just NFL or they're buying the whole company.
Wow. Hold on. That is a good new angle because so her name was Sharon
Sherry
Hersins
Korzinski.
Sherry Korzinski.
She
Escort.
did everything for EpiPen. She did the community awareness. She did the school awareness. She makes sure
Yeah,
that
she's a
all schools
boss.
have
She's a
EpiPen.
boss.
She does everything for them. And AQSD got her to be the VP of sales. That
So
is
she
a
was, yeah,
steal.
you're right, Beatrice. So Mylan was the
Mm-hmm.
company that she worked for. full
Yep.
time. She was the vice president of EpiPen marketing and public relations
Yes.
from 2013, way like since 2010 to
Yep.
2016. Then she moved on to Eagle Pharmaceuticals for 5 years, where she mission critical stuff. Then she went to vice president PR for ANI Pharmaceuticals. So that tells me she didn't have a bad breakup with Mylan. Plus, that was so long ago that there's probably
She,
new people there now too.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm telling you,
Hmm.
this choice
What's
is
Mylan's
the
market cap? Mylan?
no, 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 no. Mylan is no longer exists.
It got Pfizer,
Mylan,
right?
Mylan became Viatris. Okay, so
Oh.
Mylan was a subdivision of Pfizer, and then then Pfizer brought Mylan in to join another subsidiary, and became Viatris. Okay,
So who
so
is it now? Now it's
now
Pfizer?
now Viatris, but it's part of Pfizer.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So
I
she didn't leave
see. A
Mylan or anything
legacy
like that. She
division
became
of Pfizer.
so
It has its own stock price and everything. Let's see what the market cap for this thing is. 13.69 billion for Viatris.
yeah, it's I'm telling you, the buyout possibility for NFL for AQST with Viatris. I'm telling you, I'm in this industry. I talk to people in the old company all the time, all the time. She's still talking to her for Pfizer buddies all the time.
And
So
Viatris is not even a big pharma. They're like a mid-cap pharma.
yeah, yep,
I mean, big pharma is like Pfizer. Like, what is that? 167 market cap. Eli Lilly, probably 500 billion. Let me see what Eli
yeah,
Lilly
it's way up
stock.
there.
Market cap, Eli Lilly's almost $1 trillion.
It is. It will be $1 trillion.
Holy crap. My wife has that one in her IRA. Shout out to my wife. Wow.
Yeah,
Eli Lilly's number one right now. Almost $1 trillion. Lilly
it's big.
doesn't buy stuff though, does it? They do more
They haven't
metabolic.
bought anything in a while that I know of.
They do more
But yeah,
metabolic. Obviously diabetes is what they got famous, but obesity, okay. So it has to be someone with like a derm. Lilly does derm though.
yeah. But I think
Hmm.
I think either
AbbVie?
AQST can get bought out or they're going to sell NFL.
What about
And
AbbVie?
yeah,
AbbVie does
uh,
derm. They do.
well, any company that has a footprint in allergies is really fair game,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, even AstraZeneca is fair game.
AZ.
So yeah, and
Sanofi? Sanofi?
Sanofi, yeah, they could do that.
Who else was it? Glaxo? Glaxo?
GSK, yep,
GSK does it. Yep.
yep, they do.
All right. Man, biotech scanner, it's nice to fantasize about the stuff. But this is reality, guys. I will actually be sad when AQST well, I'll be bittersweet because
Yep.
I'll be sad when it gets acquired or it's like a $30 stock. Because it's no longer fun to follow it. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna find something new. You and I are addicts for these small caps, and one of these days gonna end up getting caught on the wrong side. I did with KMPH. We can do a case study on why that stock failed, and it's
Well,
man, that one
um,
stick with me.
that's why I'm so picky, and that
Yeah,
is why I only release once in a while.
yeah.
And so for my followers, between now and January, I have two more tickers that I'm going to release, and oh my God, they are very, very good. And there's a
I
reason
got
why.
one for you, but I want to talk to you about it later.
Yeah.
Well, biotech scanner, it's really hard to go for an hour and a half without saying your name. Every time I want to say it, it's on the tip of my lips, and I remember, nope, we gotta keep him biotech scanner. So they, I almost said it like 10 times, but biotech scanner, thank you so much for your time. Look, everybody go connect with him right now. His Twitter is below, and not financial advice. I could lose all my money like I did with
Yeah.
KMPH, but something tells me I'll make it back on this one. And thank you for that. Thank you for the
Yeah. Thanks
due
for this time.
diligence.
Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Everybody go connect right now. Bye bye.